Chapter 6, November 2024. A couple sat on their cozy couch in the middle of their almost dimmed living room. Tightly holding hands, they stared at the wall-mount LCD screen, with its brightness reflecting on their frightened faces. The silence hung over the place, save for the feminine voice of an attractive young lady as she appeared on the screen. "It is over! Sir, you have no other options. Is this what you want to tell us?" Restlessly, the TV anchor questioned her guest on the video conference, who appeared to be some high-ranked officer in the army, as seen from the medals hanging on his military uniform. "No comment, ma'am, that was my answer. I guess you heard me," he replied aggressively and provocatively. The background behind the anchor displayed some offensive scenes from different locations worldwide. One of them was where that officer himself was standing. These scenes showed much damage to properties, with people running and fighting with each other. It was evident that hostility and destructiveness were common among the entirety of the population in those times. Not only those in charge, but everyone, and that was global. Some people have attributed these events to the recent tension that has afflicted humanity. The Russian-Ukrainian conflict that sparked catastrophic global war alongside the COVID-19 pandemic were two reasons out of many. Many believed that this virus was nothing but an orchestrated biological warfare that was labelled the culmination of the global trade war, which cast its shadows over international relations and even between allies. The failure of the world's leaders to contain its side effects or control its consequences harshly escalated the conflict during and near the end of the preceding decade. On the other hand, the tension between the West and Eastern camps fueled the dispute between the two neighbouring and historically bound countries, Russia and Ukraine. The rise of the right-wing extremists and their arrogance and lack of experience dragged all the powerful countries into a veritable war towards the middle of the current decade, a full-scale Third World War. It involved almost the rest of the other countries, which either had to choose sides or unwillingly became a theatre of operations. The whole globe was a fireball. Others have attributed this aggression to cosmic effects that ensued in conjunction with the approaching asteroid 1979 XB, or the Asteroid of Doom, as the Commons colloquially called it. Scientists were fully aware of its existence and studied it for some time. But so far the mass population knew nothing about it, and almost everyone started speaking of it as the mother of all disasters and the cause of doom to the planet that would erase all known sorts of life. Chaos and disturbance have been the mainstream material for the last few months since the announcement of that inauspicious ending of life as once perceived. This somehow caused the fighting countries all around the globe to suspend all their military operations. Facing three major calamities together was never expected. On one side, a global war that was human-made. On another, the wrath of nature was represented by that asteroid waiting to collide with Earth. The third was the pandemic caused by an invisible virus, which no one has been able to confirm whether it was of natural occurrence or if it emerged in the laboratory as a deliberate act of biological warfare. All the documentaries, novels, movies, programs, talk shows, and even social media have proposed many scenarios about how life on Earth might end, or how the human race was rushing to its annihilation and extinction. Not only did they adopt such synopses, but they also used knowledge gained from science, religion, and historic incidents. They suggested multiple solutions to circumvent the proclaimed disasters, or at least to slow the pace down. But all these warnings seem to have not resonated with people's minds, nor have they stimulated any responsible actions. On the contrary, they maintain the same negative behavior and attitude toward their planet, environment, and their own lives. Yet instead of trying to avoid these pre-imagined and pre-designed disasters, some fanatics manifested, longed, and pleaded for them as their salvation. Even the governments themselves, the entities that should understand better and care more about their people by virtue of their responsibility, have all helped to reach such a dire situation. The developed countries have planned to wind up harmful emissions from industrial activities. They reached agreements to avoid deforestation, control and manage the use of natural resources, and cease non-renewable ones. They signed treaties to limit access to radioactive material to prevent the dissemination of atomic and thermonuclear weapons and promote cooperation in the peaceful applications of fissionable energy. Many deals with several objectives to help to save the environment from the devastating effects humans have caused. But what resulted from such a tumultuous uproar? To keep the glamorous image, they moved their business to other less developed and unfortunate regions that did not participate in such agreements. Even worse, they claimed to have stopped and suspended their operations when in fact they kept their business going, while shrouded in the darkness and without ever declaring its existence. Some countries have been more sincere and believed in the cause and have taken truly positive action, but hardly noticed and not up to the occasion. In short, the world kept running to its doom and never stopped nor slowed down. And while humanity considered the virus outbreak a grave threat, ironically, the planet replenished itself during the precautionary lockdown that took several weeks to halt the spread of that pandemic. Lakes and rivers cleansed themselves of human waste. Toxic gas emissions have dropped to remarkable unseen degrees since the rise of the industrial era. The bitter truth was that nature would always find a way to come back, whether we liked it or not. Intellectuals thought we would learn that lesson and act responsibly when this crisis was over. But unfortunately, what happened was the opposite. By the time it ended and the world was about to breathe, something else was seething. Another existential crisis. A declaration of a global war. And what has become of that? Humanity was counting down to perish. Whether by the hands of its inhabitants, its neighbouring long-term resident asteroid, or a stray asteroid, they all doomed Earth in an unprecedented eventuality, or a coalition for the endgame, someone might say. What an irony. Even the relentless effort of humans to destroy themselves was unsuccessful. They even coveted the assistance of nature. They craved an ominous ending to their race, but it was not only by the make of their hands. The destruction came from where least expected. The entire spacious vast universe conspired against humanity to punish them and end their misery, to tie their hands and prevent them from reaching out to other planets or perhaps solar systems and stop them from spreading their catastrophic effect on Mother Nature.